Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to learn first how to import an asset from the Unity Asset Store. Now we're going to get a new skybox, and then we're going to play around with lighting. Now here's the deal. This is our game. I'm going to turn the directional light back on. Yours may be on or off. Okay. So it's all nice and bright and chipper, right? La la la, such a happy place. Okay. Well, what I want to do using mood and lighting and effects is we're going to actually take our entire scene here and we're going to change the mood. We're going to turn this into a night scene, and you're going to learn about Unity lighting, and we're going to cover a lot about lighting. In fact, in the official Unity courseware training, which I've taken, in addition to the years of experience I have with Unity, they have over 2 hours of content just on lighting. It is very, very important. Again, like I said, they have certain employees at companies who will even focus solely on lighting. So there's a lot to cover. And let's go ahead and get started. First things first is anytime you create a new scene, okay, there's always a default skybox, and there's usually a directional, well, there is a directional light, okay? In this case, you know, we've got a directional light right here, all right? And then if we turn it off, of course, there's still light. It's not, if there was no light at all, this would be black, right? So if you notice over here, we've got a skybox. And let me fix this camera. Let's get it in a better position than it currently is. Click global. I just don't like the rotation of it currently. We kind of screwed this up, didn't we? Let's level it out here. Okay. And wonderful. Wonderful. Let's rotate it. I'm just making it a little bit better so we can see a little bit better. I'm pressing E. We've gone over these hotkeys before. I'm pressing E here so I can rotate it, and there we go. Okay, so here's our little happy place, the blue skies. Again, if the directional light, what happened to my directional light? My directional light is on. We somehow lost our light here, though. Oh, whatever. It'll fix itself in a second. Oh, that's cool. Oh, my bad. I did turn it off. It's right here. All right, so there we go. I meant to turn it off up here. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's in Happy Land mode, and maybe it's blue skies, whatever. So let's first things first. Let's go fix our skybox issue. To adjust skybox, and let's turn off our directional light so we can see the effect that's taken place. Let's go to Window and go to Lighting. Okay, and so there's just a default skybox here. It's blue. It has default lighting on it, and there's an ambient source of color. Now, the ambient source of color is just this generic color. If we go look at our camera, this blue here is what you're seeing in the background. If we go back to our lighting window lighting, I lost it here. I'll embed it here. Okay, if we go back to our lighting window, the ambient source is coming from color. We want to switch it to skybox. Okay? And let's go ahead and go back over here to the scene. And what we want to do is go get a brand new skybox. So let's go over to Window, Asset Store. And we're going to get a free skybox from the Unity Asset Store. If the one that we're going to get is no longer available in your neck of the woods at the time of watching this, go find a different free skybox from the Unity Asset Store. In order to download things from the Unity Asset Store, you do have to have a free Unity 3D account. You can get that at unity3d.com and sign up for free. This will load someday and point in time. And there we go. If you have any problems with the Unity Asset Store, you can always right-click it here and tap Reload, and it will reload it for you. And if you ever want to sign in or out to Unity, you can sign in or out right here through the Edit menu. Okay, so what we want is a skybox. And let's just type in skybox. And we want the free ones. Free only, buddy. Okay. And there's a whole assortment of skyboxes that you can choose from that are absolutely free. So you can go ahead and pick one of your own if you want. There's one specifically that I'm looking for, although this one's kind of cool. I'm looking for a skybox from the, let's get rid of this here. I think it's called Sky 5X. There we go, Sky 5X1. And it's free, vintage collection since 2008. Woo! And what we're going to do is we're just going to click import. And I'm going to just import all of them, just in case I want to use another one. And there we have it. I'm going to close the Asset Store tab here because sometimes it is very slow. Oh, by the way, if you hadn't downloaded it yet, it would have said download first, and then you could have imported it. I've already downloaded it in a different project, so that's why it didn't say download. It just said import. So it's a two-step process. Okay, so there's two ways to install a new light box. Okay, we can go find our light box here. So I'm here in the Sky 5 FX. We want the skyboxes, and we want the nighttime one. So there's two ways of doing it. One is I could go to the lighting tab, so window, lighting, and I could drag it here in the skybox section. Or if I just take it and drag it onto the empty space in the background, it sets a skybox. Now look at that. It's already making it look like it's nighttime outside, which is pretty cool. Okay, directional light. All right, so yeah, that's on and this is off. That's what I meant to do up here. Okay, so that's daytime. Looks ridiculous with the night sky here. And then let's make sure that's off. And then what we want to do is we want to get rid of the ambient light altogether. We're going to light the scene ourselves. We don't need any type of help from our skybox. So here in our skybox, the ambient intensity, okay, this is how much it's affected. I'm just going to change it to 0, okay? I don't want the skybox to affect anything at all. Now we know that we're completely in charge of the lighting, which is what we want. We don't want any default Unity stuff ruining it for us. Okay, now we can start making some good decisions and figuring out our game here. So I'm going to turn the directional light back on. And notice how it's not so happy this time. Well, that's because the skybox was also adding light. Common mistake with new developers is they'll be changing the settings on the directional light and like, why can't I get it the way I want? And it's because the skybox is adding that ambient light, which we don't want. Okay, so we've got this directional light here. And what we want to do is we first want to change this to baked. All the lightings that we're going to be doing is going to be baked. And we're going to talk about that later. But basically, anytime you're developing a game, if you have an object that is not going to be moving, if it's static, you want to bake the lighting, which will actually burn the lighting into the mesh so it's not doing computational, it's not running computations on lighting during the game, which will give you much faster performance. And especially on mobile, you better make sure if you're building for iOS or Android or Apple TV or anything like that, that you have baked lighting in all of your lights, okay? And we're going to talk about that later. So anytime we build a light, just make sure you put it on baked. Okay, great. Now what I want to do is I want to change the color. Okay, we don't want white. It's nighttime. We want kind of a bluish, like a bluish night color. Okay, maybe somewhere around here. Turn the saturation down slightly. Just a nice blue type of tint here. Okay, and this is a directional light. Okay, directional lights. Think of it as a light that's like the sun. It's pointing in a certain direction. You know how at 8 in the morning the sun is coming from one direction, and at 5 p.m. the sun's coming from another direction? That's the whole ideal here. You can't scale it, you can't move it, but you can change the rotation of it. Okay, and let me show you here what I'm talking about. So if I select my directional light and press E, well, let's show you what you can't do. Okay, I can't move this. So let's click global here. I can't move it from left to right. Oh, I'm moving it, but it's not doing anything, as you can tell, right? The shadows aren't moving or anything. But watch what happens if I press E and then rotate it. My shadows are moving. Now, in my case, I think I want the shadows in front of the building to just show a little more character and life. And you can rotate this any way that you want. I kind of want mine like this. Pretty cool, right? That's how you can move around a directional light. We can also turn off the shadows if we don't want shadows. So I can go over here to my directional light and I can say no shadows, and the shadows are gone. And it depends on your game and what you're trying to do. You can do hard shadows, which are, of course, hard, very crisp edges, which in most cases are very unnatural, especially at nighttime. At nighttime, there are hardly ever super hard shadows. Or soft shadows, okay? And soft shadows is kind of what we want. And this is looking really nice. And you can change the intensity of your light, of course, like so. That's not what we want to do. Let's Just make it nice and nighttime here. And the bounce intensity is how much light bounces off one object and hits another. In most cases, it's hard to see, but in some cases you can, so you can play around with that. I'm going to save it here just to be safe. And this is looking a lot better. And you're probably thinking, well, it's way too dark. Well, we're not done yet. So we got our light here. It's looking good. We got our shadows here. Yeah, this is coming out a lot better than it was before to create a nighttime scene. Remember, we went from ultra happy to nighttime now. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this video done. Okay, this video was about changing, putting in a skybox, changing the ambient, turning off all the ambient light from the skybox, adjusting our directional light, and then talking about directional lights and how they work. Your directional light is going to light up the whole scene. Everything inside of it. Think of it as the sun. And so, of course, you can have a directional light inside of a building. It doesn't have to be a sun, but my point is you can't move it left or right or up or down. You can only change the angle in which the light is being emitted. And so that's what we did. We changed the shadow angle on it. We made it a little bit of a blue color here. We may change it around. And we also made it a baked light, meaning that it will not be real time. There will be no computational performance or computations performed. That's what I'm trying to say. When the game is running after we bake it. So that's it for now. Mark Price at devslopes.com. Moving on and forward.